Hello everyone. In this module, we are going to learn how to plot a polar chart in Matplotlib. And the following are the topics that we are going to learn. Firstly, we will see what is polar chart. After that, we will learn where we use the polar chart. Then we will see the syntax of a polar chart and we will also see examples related to this. So till now we have seen that in the previous plot we used a Cartesian system to draw a graph. Cartesian system is a system in which we have two perpendicular lines which meet at a point called origin, and we have two axis direction called x-axis and the y-axis. But now to plot polar chart we utilize a different coordinate system entirely, which is a polar system. A polar system is a two-dimensional coordinate system where the position of a point is defined in the term of a radius and angle. So let's take a quick look at what these two coordinates represent. Firstly, we have the radial coordinate that denotes the distance between two points called pole, and it is equivalent to the origin of a Cartesian system. The next one is an angular coordinate. It represents the required angle to get the point from the 0-degree ray, and it is also known as polar axis, and it is comparable to x-axis in the Cartesian system. So now we will see where we use the polar chart. Basically, polar charts are circular chart that display information as a polar coordinate using values and angles, and it can be used to display scientific data. Now we will see the syntax to create polar chart. In Matplotlib, the polar function is used to make a polar chart, and the syntax is as follow: matplotlib.pyplot.polar, and in this we pass three parameters. First one is a theta. It is angles in degree. In general, the angular coordinate can be expressed in radian or a degree, but Matplotlib takes only degree to define angles. So therefore it accepts angle in degrees. The next one is r. It is a distance between two points. And the last one is keyword arguments. You can pass any keyword argument to modify the polar chart. So now we will see some examples related to this. So here is the code for a simple polar chart. I explain you. Firstly, I import the Matplotlib pyplot library as PLT. Next, I import the NumPy library as NP. After that, I define the angle and the distance. Firstly, I define angle and assign variable theta to it, and I use np.arrange function to define it, and I pass starting value as 0.5, stop value as 2.5, and the step value as 1.95 divided by 180, and then I multiply it with the pi value by using the np.pi function. The next I define the distance and I assign variable r to it, and I call the function np.sin, and I pass angle as 8 multiplied by theta. Then I subtract it from 5 into np.cos, and I pass angle as 2 into theta. And in last, here I use the np.abs function which convert this value to absolute value. Then I call the polar function to plot a polar chart, and then I pass theta and r variable to it. Next I call the display function to display the plot. Now I execute this code, and here is the output. You can see that it is a circular chart and have polar coordinates. You can see that it creates a image like a butterfly. It has different angles, and here are the predefined labels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see one more example. Firstly, I import the necessary libraries, Matplotlib and the NumPy. Then I define angle and distance. to plot a polar chart. Then I create a variable theta and define it by using the line space function of a numpy, and I pass value to it as 5 as a start value, 2 as a stop value, and 500 as a num value. And after that I multiply it with the pi value by using the np.pi function. Then I defined distance by creating a variable r. Then I assign value to it as np dot sine. After that I pass angle as 2 multiply by the theta, and then I multiply it with the np dot cos, and I pass angle as 2 multiply by the theta. Then I call a polar function to create a polar chart, and I pass theta and r variable to it, and I pass one more parameter which is a color. It is a keyword argument, and I assign red value to it. Then I call show function to display the plot. Now I execute this code, and here you can see that it creates a floor with 4 petals, and now it has different values like minus 0.4, 0.2, 0.0, 0.2 and 0.4, and the color of the petals changed to the red as I pass the red color. So with this we have learned to plot polar chart in Matplotlib. So in the next module we will learn how we can set the grid lines in polar chart.